Howdy, partner. Have a seat somewhere.
Good morning, sir. How you doing on this fine day?
No need to call me sir, call me cowboy. Well, partner, let me guess who you are. You're the town barber. You know, you look more like the town undertaker in that outfit.
Well, you're pretty close to the right profession, and I'm a private investigator from San Francisco.
Private investigator? Well, then you must be one of them Pinkerton detectives. Can't say you got the outfit right, though. There was a Pinkerton detectives who tracked Jesse James and Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. They are part of our Wild West history.
Yeah, I know about the Pinkerton Agency, and most detectives know about the Pinkerton Agency and their history. It's where the private investigative business all got started for us.
Well, detective, you sound proudly educated on the subject. Sit yourself down here and buy yourself a drink. We got 4 kinds to choose from. Whiskey, sarsaparilla, water.
Well, I'm here on business, Mr. Cowboy. I guess the sarsaparilla root beer will do just fine.
Well, sit yourself down and have a drink of something. It's always pleasure before business in this town. Well, partner, you know, we can get you looking more Western. We can fix you up in a classic Pinkerton detective outfit, completely authentic. All we need to do is sign you up for our 3-day deluxe package, room and board included.
I'm being paid to investigate the whereabouts of a missing young girl. Take a look at this picture I have here. Have you seen this young woman anywhere? She may have been an employee.
No, can't say that I have. An employee, you say? Well then, if she worked here in town, she must have been a cowgirl or a saloon girl.
Employment record shows that she was a recent employee here at Western Town Incorporated, with corporate offices in Stockton, California.
Well, I suppose you'll have to talk to the boss about them matters. He should be in town in a couple hours. Have yourself a drink while you and me wait for him to show up.
Well, that's a nice gesture on your part, perhaps.
But first, you need a real drink. 1 whiskey for my friend here, bartender. You know, despite what anyone might think back in the big city, everything here in Western Town is legal and above board. Saloon girls are actresses. They're not allowed contact, physical or otherwise, with any of our customers.
How about if she was not an employee at Western Town? Perhaps a private contractor, as they say in my business, getting paid by the hour under the table with no records being made.
Don't know nothing about that. Well, partner, have yourself a drink. The boss will be by shortly, and you can discuss that with him. What's your name now?
Jackson, Woody Jackson.
Well, Mr. Jackson, this is a God-fearing place with good old American values. There's nothing illegal going on here, especially with our girls. Trust me on that. Is God, country, and apple pie.
A godly apple, rotten at the core, perhaps. Shakespeare, Merchant of Venice, Act 1, Scene 3.
Well, Mr. Jackson, we don't take much to Shakespeare around here. Come on, friend, drink up. Eat, drink, and be merry. We like to quote the Bible here in West Town.
You have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease. Eat, drink, and be merry. Luke chapter 12, verse 16.
Hey, Woody, wake up. Oh, Woody.
Oh, it's you two.
What do you think? Should we tell him or just leave him here until he sobers up? Nah, tell him. Woody, guess what we got?
I don't know. You got some kind of disease associated with your rear end?
Now that's a good one, Rudy. Nope, what we got here is Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty?
Well, her real name is Daphne Connolly. I think you probably heard that name before, possibly from her parents who hired you.
If you got her, show me.
She's standing right here, but I guess your eyes aren't quite in focus yet. She would wave hello to you, but sorry to say her hands aren't available for use right at the moment.
Let her go, Kolotsky.
Can't do that, Woody. She's going to be booked on charges of prostitution and soliciting to a minor.
Come on, Kolotsky, give her a break. She's almost a kid herself. Hand her over to me and I'll get her back to her parents. Don't saddle her with a police record.
Saddle her? That's got a nice Western sound to it. Too late, Woody. You might have gotten her first if you hadn't passed out in the alley of the Wild West Saloon here. We got her now, and we're going to book her into the San Joaquin County Jail in Stockton. Maybe you can call her parents and tell her where she is, and they might send a check your way for that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You'd better make it quick. She's allowed one phone call from jail, and my guess, she isn't going to be calling her talent agent or her legal team.
That doesn't even qualify as a bad joke, Kolotsky.
Well, Woody, we got to leave you now. We'd offer you a lift, but after we drop her off in Stockton, we're heading up to Sacramento for a little police business. You can take that little train out of this little town and catch a bus to Stockton and then transfer back to the big city. But I guess you're very familiar about getting around on a bus.
I would never get into a car with you two unless I was forced into it. And I'd like to see you two try to get away with that.
You mean you wouldn't try to talk your way out of the situation with your usual smooth philosophical quotations?
I wouldn't waste my breath.
Okay then, Rudy, my boy. See you later. By the way, nice cowboy outfit.
This is Woody Jackson at the WJ Detective Agency. Is there any messages for me? No messages? Thank you. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28.
Good morning. My name is Professor Bernie J. Clinkenbeard. I would like to thank the members of the press here for showing up. I would also like to inform any TV journalists in the room that I'll be available for film interviews in the media room right afterwards. I will try to make this as quick as possible. I am taking this moment to announce the creation and formation of the Vietnam Veterans Concussion Treatment Investigative Research Organization, or VECTRO. Our goal is to track down veterans who suffered combat-related concussive head trauma and were unknowingly treated with an experimental drug by Army physicians. Although many experience quick recoveries with this new drug, the chemical structure of which is outlined in the literature available on the table, this drug, when combined with other psychiatric drugs, most notably the non-legal drug LSD, can produce moderate to severe hallucinations. Severe enough in some cases to completely distort reality. The neurological changes caused by this drug can be substantial and protracted. Our goal is to inform and seek out as many veterans as possible for interviews, diagnosis, and possible treatments. And so we are asking members of the press, families, and friends to help us in our efforts to locate these individual veterans. Our organization will be based in my office here at Berkeley, with our first searches concentrated in the San Francisco area. We hope to expand to the rest of the California university system and to other cities in the region, and eventually to the population nationwide. We are currently requesting medical records from the Pentagon, but this process is slow and cumbersome and is hindered by the permissions required to gain access to these records. In other words, practically impossible. More importantly, the Army does not admit to any use of this drug and argues curiously that treatments like this are necessary in a time of war. A war, by the way, that has never been declared by the U.S. government. So feel free to grab a copy of my report, read it through, and submit any written questions regarding it. Everything is laid out in detail in the report. So I'm hoping that with your help, we can start our search today, and we'll be able to locate and reach out to those suffering veterans, and most importantly, reveal the truth. Thank you. So much going on with the Vietnam War nowadays, we'll be lucky to get any responses to any of this.
Want to go outside and smoke a joint? I knew you would.
This is Mr. Doyle Beckman. May I speak with Detective Kolotsky, please?
Yes, Mr. Beckman, this is Detective Kolotsky.
I am calling again to see if there is any new leads in the case of my missing son, Rudolph Beckman.
Wait a moment, Mr. Beckman. I'll check your son's files to see if there's any new reports added in the last 24 hours. We have a room full of detectives working on this case. Sorry, Mr. Beckman, there has been nothing new to report. Let me quickly go over what we know so far. Your friend from ABC Supply, Mr. Worthington, recalls meeting Rudolph on the morning of October 23rd, 1968. He stated that Rudy agreed to take the job offered him, and he promised to return the next day. Rudy then inquired about taking a bus to visit a girl. He gave no names. The bus stop near the main gate of the factory is highly used and is on the route of many buses throughout the day. San Francisco Transit Authority sent questionnaires to every bus driver who drove any route that made a stop during the week. They used your description of Rudy, but they all came back negative. Keep in mind, Mr. Beckman, that we have no recent pictures of Rudolph, just a high school picture, and those of him with rather long hair. Records with the California Department of Unemployment show that all his checks went to the main post office in San Francisco. Records with the Veterans Administration show that he made no claims for disability, and the only address on file was your home address in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Well, Detective Kolodsky, all I can say is, once again I am disappointed in your progress, and I am beginning to doubt your sincerity and effectiveness as a detective. Moreover, I do not believe that there is a room full of detectives working on this case.
Mr. Beckman, our office is completely swamped with reports of missing persons. San Francisco is a very popular destination for runaway youth. My partner, right at this very moment, is poring over all our missing persons files pictures.
Rudy is not a runaway youth, especially not the kind that you are dealing with in San Francisco. He is a Vietnam veteran with a Purple Heart.
Yes, of course he is. Tell you what, Mr. Beckman, I could recommend to you a private detective located here in San Francisco who could give your son's case the exclusive attention that it certainly deserves. Of course, there will be a fee involved.
Money is of no concern to me. Right at this moment, Detective Kolodsky.
Okay, Mr. Beckman, you sound agreeable with this idea. I will recommend to you Woodrow Jackson of the WJ Detective Agency. He is a very prominent established detective here in San Francisco area. I will send all our files over to him and I will further discuss the case with him. After I do that, I will give you his phone number and you can talk it over with him and decide if this is the course you want to take. I think this direction could produce the best results for you and your son, Rudolph.
All right, I will agree to that.
Very good, Mr. Beckman. I'll get on this right away and I will be back to you shortly. I am sure that your persistence will eventually pay off if you follow this course.
We'll see.
All right, Mr. Beckman, I'll get back to you. Best of luck. Thank you. Goodbye. I sure am glad to get rid of that old codger pain in the ass. Yeah, right. I'll call up Woody right now. I'm sure he's not doing anything important.
WJ Detective Agency.
Woody, my boy, how you doing, partner?
Pretty good up until now.
Well, Woody, I'll get right to the point. I'm going to send some business your way.
What kind of business?
A missing persons case.
You're passing a missing persons case off to me?
A recently discharged Vietnam veteran.
What's the matter? You only investigating missing person with tits now?
Yeah, something like that. Hey, Woody, I'm sending over all our files on this one. His name is Rudolph Beckman. His father will call you from Connecticut, so stick around your office there. The files will show up at your doorstep in a few hours.
Knowing you two, I'll be expecting a bag of dog shit.
No, Woody, no dog shit. This is the real deal.
The real deal? The only thing real about you two is your shadiness and duplicity. Kolodsky, why are you so nice to me?
I'm being nice to you because I like you so much, Woody, my boy. Besides, this will work out great for the both of us. Just look at it as your dear friend coming to your aid in your time of distress.
That feels like cold comfort.
Yeah, well, Woody, soften this guy up with some of your slick phrases. Shakespeare might work with this guy.
King James, Act 5, Scene 7.
Well, whatever. Take good care of this one, Woody. I know you will. Talk to you later. Eat shit, Woody. Kolodsky, Act number 2, Scene 69. Huh, that's a good one. Think you'll find that guy? He might, if he happens to show up in a morgue or a dumpster somewhere.
WJ Detective Agency.
Mr. Woodrow Jackson, please.
This is Detective Jackson.
My name is Mr. Doyle Beckman. I am calling you on the recommendation by San Francisco Detective Walter Kolosky in regards to my missing son, Rudolph Beckman.
Yes, Mr. Beckman. I'm looking over your son's case right now. There's a lot of information here for me to work with. I'm surprised they haven't found him yet, given the size of his file.
Well, personally, Mr. Jackson, I think we are dealing with police incompetence here. And I normally have a high regard for the police department, especially here in Bridgeport.
I'm with you on that one. Incompetence isn't the only problem with those two turkeys.
Mr. Jackson, I am looking for someone who can give his full time and attention to my son's case. Can you do this?
I sure can, Mr. Beckman. I've shut down the work on all my other cases, and I'm ready to give full time and attention to finding your son. I've already looked through the files, and I'm ready to move on it today.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, Mr. Jackson, and I am willing to give you the opportunity to solve my son's case. I know I am taking a big chance here.
Yes, Mr. Beckman, and so did your son when he went off to fight for our country in Vietnam. Like I said, I read over your son's file, including the letter you wrote about him, and I want to learn more about the time he spent there, especially the time he spent in the Army hospital. There's certain to be clues found there.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, you are hired. Now, I suppose we need to talk about your fee.
Well, I'm thinking of, let's say, 15 or...
All right then, $1,500 per week plus necessary expenses.
Yeah!
What was that?
Sorry, excuse me, I just sneezed. Yes, $1,500 a week plus expenses is my usual fee.
And, of course, a bonus if you find him in good health. All right then. I will get a check out to you, and that will serve as our contract. $1,500 a week will be deposited in your bank account on a weekly basis, and I want a weekly summary of expenses. My accountant will contact you tomorrow.
And, Mr. Jackson,
Yes?
I want daily reports.
Yes, of course.
And, Mr. Jackson, I want results.
You will get results.
Okay, Mr. Jackson. We will talk again tomorrow.
We sure will. I'm looking forward to it, Mr. Beckman. Make haste, the better foot forward. I'm gonna need a car. King John, Act 4, Scene 2. Whoopee! I would like to speak to Mr. Russell Spradley, please.
This is Russell Spradley.
Mr. Russell Spradley, my name is Woodrow Jackson, and I'm doing a follow-up investigation for the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Authority. I would like to ask you a few questions.
I don't work for them anymore.
Yes, I know. Records show that you were terminated the 27th, October 1968.
That's right. So what about it? What do you want?
This is not about your termination, Mr. Spradley. We just want to know if you can recount seeing a particular passenger on your bus route on the morning of October the 23rd. This person has gone missing, and we are determined to find out what happened to him. You were terminated on the Friday of that week. This would have been on the Monday morning of that week and would have involved bus route number 132, which made a stop at the ABC Supply Company on Howard Street.
I remember a lot about that week. So what did this missing guy look like?
He was 5 feet 9 inches. He weighed about 160 pounds, and he had brown hair and he wore glasses.
Come on, buddy. Half the guys who get on buses look like that.
And he was carrying a small green duffel bag. Hello? Hello, Mr. Spradley?
Yeah, I remember that guy.
You remember him. Do you remember where he got off? Hello, Mr. Spradley?
Who wants to know?
The San Francisco Municipal Transportation Authority.
Bullshit. And it ain't the Frisco PD either. They wouldn't go to all this trouble.
No, you're right, Mr. Spradley. This is a private party searching for this young man.
And you're obviously not with the Transit Authority.
No, I'm not.
So what are you? A PI?
That's right. I'm a private investigator hired by a private party to track down a missing person.
A paid private investigator.
That's right.
Well, Mr. Paid Private Investigator, maybe we should talk about that.
So you remember where he got off,
That's right.
and you want to be paid for that information.
You're a fast learner, Mr. Paid Private Investigator.
Woody Jackson.
Well, Woody Jackson, when I said we should talk about it, I meant we should talk about the money.
Well, if we're going to be talking money, we should meet somewhere.
Okay.
How about the Empire Jazz Club tomorrow at 1 p.m.? Do you know where it is?
Yeah, I know where that is. I was a bus driver, remember?
Mr. Spradley, you were fired for drinking and you also lost your driver's license.
I'll be there tomorrow, 1 p.m. I'll take the bus.
All right, Mr. Spradley. Tomorrow at the Empire Jazz Club at 1 p.m. I'll be wearing a dark pinstripe suit with a black and red striped tie. You'll be paid the appropriate amount of money and we'll drive together to the spot where you dropped them off.
See you then, Mr. Jackson. And Mr. Jackson, bring lots of appropriate money with you.
Base is the slave that pays. King Henry V, Act 2, Scene 1.
I have no classes scheduled next week, so I plan to visit San Francisco General Hospital to see if I can get names of patients who have been admitted or treated for concussion-related conditions and see if any of them are Vietnam veterans. While I'm there, I'll try to interview nurses in the neurological department.
I will continue to respond to any inquiries. Continue to make phone calls to your list of people in the UC system who might be willing to help us, and post bulletins around campus here. I will also draft up our next press release.
You're doing a great job, Angela. Don't be concerned about this lackluster response. We've only begun my search, and next week I'll begin to get totally involved in it.
Thank you very much. You are so kind. I hope that you are enjoying yourself. Remember, the J.R. Williams Jazz Trio begins their show this evening at 7 p.m. So have yourself a drink or two and maybe stick around for a while. The bar stays open until 2 a.m.
So you are Private Detective Woody Jackson?
And you are Russell Spradley?
I'll have a gin martini, waitress. You're paying, right? You're not drinking?
That's right.
Speaking of paying, how much we talking here for me to get you your man?
$1,000 now, and $1,000 when we get to the spot where you dropped them off.
Not enough. I know that whoever's paying you has deep pockets.
The money's coming right out of my pocket at the moment. And don't get too full of yourself, Mrs. Spradley. I only contacted you on a hunch, and I got an unexpected result. But there are 100 different ways to track down any individual, and I'm willing to start using them right now if I need to. So this is my only and final offer. Take it or finish your drink and go home.
$1,000 now and $1,000 at the bus stop?
That's right.
How do you know I'm taking you to the right spot?
I'll know. Besides, Mrs. Spradley, you don't want to cross me. I also have 100 different ways to make your life miserable. Even more miserable than it already is.
No need to talk that way, Mr. Jackson. Let me finish my drink. Put the $1,000 in my pocket and I'll be on my way. I'll get my money, you can get your reward, and that guy can go home to his mommy and daddy. Turn left up here and follow my old bus route. Don't mind if I take a little drink out of this. You want some?
Not while I'm driving.
Well, I'm not driving, so I'll just have myself. Oops.
Shit! What were you doing?
You have suffered a concussion. But there doesn't appear to be any lasting damage. Just this mean-looking bruise on your forehead. So it's good to have you back, Mr. Jackson. My name is Sally. I am your nurse.